Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Journeys to Belonging. On my show today, I have someone, well, I'll start with full disclosure. Eva Al Qallaf is my friend, former work colleague, and fellow collaborator in all good things. We've known each other since the late 1990s and have lots of shared experiences. She keeps me balanced and definitely helps me with my sense of personal belonging. Eva, welcome to the podcast. I have been trying to get you on here for so long. It's so good to see you.
Thank you so much. And hello, everyone. Thank you so much for such a wonderful introduction. Wow, I need to be using this introduction, I guess, in my other areas. And what you said is exactly the truth. So if I would have to introduce you, I would use exactly the same words that you introduced, because what you missed and you didn't tell people is that we call each other half of a brain.
That's
this
true.
is how we operate. This is how we operate, actually, our half of a brain.
That's true. That's true. And actually, one of the questions I'm going to ask you during the podcast talks a little bit about that. So we'll get into it. But I didn't really, I was going to go on and on about our relationship and how we know each other. And then I thought, no, I always like my guests to introduce themselves. So if I were to tell them how we really know each other, I would be telling your story. So I want you to tell your story. So go ahead and introduce yourself, Eva.
Okay, yes. Was born past century, a long time ago, in Poland. In the 60s, I would say very dark times, very dark and cold times, I would say. It was a Cold War era too. So, yeah.
Wow.
And I was born in November, that's why I say in the cold times.
Yes.
I was born to a very interesting family. My mother's side, my mom is the oldest sister out of 7. And I grew up with a family, with my grandparents, with her parents. My father is the only child, very early in life, orphan. His father was executed by the Soviets during the Second War. My paternal grandmother never got over, and so he came from kind of a broken family. And why I'm giving you these details, because that is, I feel, very important, because those two families and the stories of these two families kind of like have a huge influence on my life. So on one hand, I grew up with the big home. A grandma was, the housewife, the one that was keeping everybody alive, fed, clothed, clean. My grandfather worked very hard. And on the other hand, I had a grandmother that I would see a couple of times a year. I never made a close connection. She was living far away, and my father was basically like growing up like an orphan. Yeah. I'm from the north of Poland, the city called Gdańsk. I grew up there, went to school there, and I witnessed strikes. I witnessed so many interesting, turbulent times that were going on, were happening in 70s and 80s. And then what happened was I fell in love with that Kuwaiti guy that came to Poland. And then we married, and then I ended up in Kuwait. It's kind of a fast forward, because this is what I feel like those are the most important times of my life. So I arrived to Kuwait in 1988 and didn't know anybody here. And I think that was a very reckless decision. If I look back now, it was a super reckless decision, and I didn't have plan B. I didn't think about the future. All what I knew, that I was in love with this guy and we want to be together. That's it.
Right. And life's decisions and how they turn out.
Yep. And that was it. what's going to happen to me? How am I going to live in Kuwait? No, zero information, nothing. All what I had was his word that I'm going to be okay, we're going to be okay, and it's a good country, it's a good place to live.
Mhm.
I trusted him, and I arrived to Kuwait, and it was precisely 23rd of April in 88, and it was a Ramadan time. And my first trip was to the Sultan Center, where I was so amazed to see the variety of the groceries, of everything. And why I'm saying that, because in 88, the shelves in the stores in Poland were empty. People were getting everything from the black market. It was just unbelievable. I think 87, 88, and 89, they were the worst years. And this is what I left Poland for. And, you know, I came here, it was a very colorful country for me in a comparison to the Poland those days.
Mm.
And then, you know, my son Jasim was born, and then Sarah was born, and then Hanan was born. I'm a mother of 3. And in the meantime, we had invasion, Iraqi invasion. So the 2nd of August, 1990, I'm with 2 kids. I'm stay-at-home mom, still trying to make my life bearable in Kuwait. It was very difficult. The first 2 years were extremely difficult for me. I hate it. Honestly, I hate it. I was so homesick. Everything was so strange and foreign for me.
Right.
I didn't feel any connection to this place. Nothing,
Mhm.
honestly. The only thing what I had was my little family. That was what was keeping me in.
Mhm.
So the 2nd of August happened, and I was like sitting and thinking, what is happening? We are in the desert. There is no mountains, no forest. I can't escape anywhere. You know, well, to remind you again, I'm a child, I'm a 60s child, and that was a second generation after the Second World War in
Mhm.
Poland. So I have automatically those kind of like a survivor thing,
Right.
thoughts hitting my head, because we grew up with these stories, and the Second World War left an unbelievable imprint in everybody's life. So I'm thinking, how are we going to hide? What were we going to do? Where is the food? How are we going to store that? I think, like, you know, this generational trauma.
Mhm.
This is what, like, kind of like, boom, opened up in
Mhm.
me. But what was somewhere stored in the back of my mind, but all opened. But luckily, I was evacuated after a month with both of my kids. I ended up in Poland, and guess what? I felt a stranger.
Oh, wow.
After 2 years, I felt a stranger there again.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And it was, and really, honestly, I felt like I am balancing on the line. And I didn't know what is the future going to bring. What am I going to do with the 2 kids? What happened if my husband gets killed? What happened if I cannot come back? Now, my son was losing his Arabic and English that he already learned, even though in that very young age.
Mhm.
What about the school? What am I going to do? Where I'm going to live? You know?
How am I going to manage with these 2 little kids? Yeah.
Yeah, so many things, so many things.
Mhm.
Well, I was lucky because I had a family there, and I met a very good people too. Like, you know, when I arrived there, see, the sweet thing is my mom is a teacher, and right away, all of her friends, they did the donation, and everybody just brought the clothes
Oh,
for my kids
wow.
for winter. Yeah, to clothes, toys, everything, you know.
Mhm.
See, and then later on, of course, Kuwait embassy. We didn't have a Kuwait embassy in Poland those days. There was an embassy in Moscow. I contacted them, and yeah, and they were supporting us. So, you know, without that support,
Mhm.
I cannot even imagine how would, I mean, probably I will look for the job and things like that. But really, that was a godsend help.
Mhm. It really was. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when I came back, when I was ready, when I was waiting, when the Desert Storm happened and CNN happened, and
Mhm.
me being glued to the TV, and you know what? That's why I, in a way, I despise CNN now. I cannot watch the I'm sorry. Yes,
A 24-hour news cycle. Yes.
I can't. You know what? This and 9/11. You know,
Yes.
it was so tragic. Anyways, Desert Storm happened, and then in April I received a phone call from my husband. Then he came to Poland, and in August, end of August, we we ended up coming back to Kuwait. So it's like a happy ending, honestly. And
Yes.
I could feel a different vibes, different air, different situation completely in Kuwait. And you know what? I came back and I felt I'm more at home than I was this 1 year in Poland. So
that's
that
so
was
interesting.
yeah, that was a breaking point for me, coming back after the invasion. And then after a year later, my third and the last child was born, and I started working. So also I was super privileged that I was able to be at home when 3 of my kids were born, and I didn't have to worry about going back to work, rushing back from work. Really, I feel, until today, I feel extremely privileged that I could be at home with my kids when they needed me the most.
Yes. Yeah, I felt the same way until Hey was in kindergarten. Really, it was those first years. Not everybody can say that. So yes, it is a privilege.
It is a privilege. And then, you know, I was a breastfeeding mom also. So that was super helpful. Yeah. And then if you look at my employment history, everything is a coincidence. Each job, it's not planned and it's not calculated. Everything happens by a coincidence. So my sister-in-law asked me if I would consider to be a substitute in the nursery. And I was like, I don't know. Okay, let me go for the interview. I don't know. And I went for the interview with the owner and the manager of that nursery. And I was like, okay, let me try. Fine. Okay. I don't know if I like it. So I'm supposed to be substituting for 3 days or 5. Yeah, 3 or 5 days. And I ended up working there for 5 years.
Oh, gosh. Talk about a coincidence. Yes.
Yeah. You know, so but those are the most important first years of my experience working as a kindergarten teacher, a first assistant, then teacher, and also going through some education to back it up, and also having a first-hand experience being an employee in a private sector, being a team member. I mean, there was so many first timers for me. But it was such a good experience.
Nice.
Yeah, it was such a good experience. You know, and our boss was, you know, her ethics, oh my goodness. You know, I wish everybody would have a boss like that. She knew she was not going to keep on this nursery, to keep this nursery open. So she gave us 1 year to look for another jobs, you know. And that is I'm getting closer to the point when we've met. So I was on the lookout for a job. Was turned down basically from a couple of places, which was okay, fine. But I wasn't like overly worried about that. I don't know. For some reasons, I was okay. I knew something was coming up. And then again, my sister-in-law decided that she needs to help me. And she knew, yes, she knew at that time the early childhood coordinator at AAG. And she said, I have an excellent teacher for you. And see, my interview, I didn't get the interview. I was asked to come. Yeah, see, I like it. And I think that was the genius idea. So I didn't get the interview. I was asked to come and spend a day in 2 classrooms, actually.
Oh, okay.
So this is what my interview went. But I had to spend a day there, and the teacher and an assistant teacher that evaluated me. I had to work with the kids. I have to work with them.
Wonderful. Wow. On the job interview. Yeah.
You didn't know that, right?
No,
I never.
I didn't hear about that. No, that's new. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is how I ended up working with Carol Bedu and with Evita. Okay.
Yeah. And AAG is, for those who don't know, is American
Yes.
Academy for Girls, and in Kuwait is all-girls school that opened up in 1996.
Yeah, that was the first all-girl private school with American curriculum. That's yes.
Yes.
So this is how I started my journey there. That lasted for 15 years, and this is where I've met you, where you were a third grade teacher, and then you took over half of the class of my older daughter. You see, also the good thing, the perks of working at the nursery and the private school, it enabled me to have my girls with me. That was a huge help, you know, logistically, financially, for so many reasons. And I could see them grow and watch them, you know, what usually the parents don't get this chance to see how your daughters are doing, honestly. And that, yes, yeah. So that was
yeah, that was a bonus to working there. Yeah,
excellent bonus. And also, you know what, that when I look back at my whole life, I get a chance to meet so many wonderful students thanks to my daughters, because they were their friends, they were their classmates.
Yes.
So there was a different bond, different relation there. So yeah, that workplace really brought a lot of good things to my life, honestly. So then after a year, you become my coordinator. Principal, sorry, but you were a principal.
Yes, it went from coordinator to principal. I was your boss, basically.
You were my boss. You know what? I wish that, see, I didn't prepare myself very well, but you know what? That to show people what kind of department we had and what kind of department you established and you ran. You remember that day that I was like, I handed you a broom, a broken broom, and we have that picture, we're standing and discussing that, and you're holding this broom because you need to take it to the proper authorities and ask them, what is this? What kind of broom the nannies are using here?
Forgotten about that.
Oh, you know, you can count on me. I remember a lot of things like
that. Yeah. Well, you know, I was all about the quality of life and environment in the school for the teachers, because you do your best when you've got that quality around you.
Yeah, quality and support. So this is like, this is when our relation started. And that is very interesting because it started in a very professional manner. We become friends after you left AAG.
That's true. That is true. Yes. Yeah.
But yes. And not to mention later on after we worked again together.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, we do a lot of that 50-50 collaboration. That was fun time. Yes.
That was a fun time. That was very interesting time. And I would say, like, your idea was like a pioneering in Kuwait, and until today nobody picked up on your idea of providing a professional development for the schools locally as a local brand. Still people didn't, I think, they don't understand yet the idea, I think.
No, unfortunately. Yes, and with the pandemic, it's understandable that their focus is on other things. Yes, unfortunately, although it should be on professional development because that supports the teachers, but it is on other things.
Well, it's in general, it's very complicated when you look at educational system in Kuwait, and I think it's not only in Kuwait, but you have a local schools and you have a foreign schools, and you have a, so to say, a local staff, and you have a expat staff, and I find it very difficult to keep that professional development and keep that steady because of the rotation of the people.
Yes. Yeah, we have a lot who come here for a year or 2 or 3, and then they're gone again. So you invest in their professional development. But I think it's more just the atmosphere of supporting teachers so that they know when they come in and they're new, that
Mhm.
they have that opportunity to learn about the school and to learn better ways
Mhm.
to deal with or to help support English language learners, which the majority of our students in our schools are. And many of the teachers come and they don't really have that information.
No, they don't, and
Yeah,
they don't
yeah.
know how to approach a second language learners, ESL learners, actually.
Right, right. So we'll
Yeah.
get into to Parentool and specialized solutions a little bit more later on. But I would love to ask you my first question. So
Go
if
ahead.
I say the word belonging or feeling a sense of belonging, what's the first thing or things that come to mind?
For me, is that feeling in my heart that I feel good, that I'm in the right place. And it's not only physically, it's mentally and physically. This is what it is. When my heart is at ease and I know that I'm okay and I'm in the right place. This is what the belonging means to me.
Right. Yeah. And I think your story about coming to Kuwait, then going back to Poland after 2 years and coming back to Kuwait again is a prime example, an excellent example of that. It just, you know, you felt like you were safe. You felt like you know, like you said, physically and mentally you were taken care of. So, so yeah, that's really good. My next question is, before you became Parentool, which is your consultancy, you said you worked as a nursery and kindergarten teacher. So I'd love to know, and I'm sure my listeners are curious, how has that experience with children and parents informed what you do as a parenting consultant and trainer? And can you mention some of the examples from your experience at the nursery school and the kindergarten that sort of led you to focusing on parenting? Yeah, so can you share about that?
Sure. You know, I feel like being working with the nursery and the kindergarten, being an assistant teacher, being a teacher, being involved with administrative staff, being involved with the parent, kind of like met halfway my personality. I'm kind of a curious person and I like to meet people. So actually, I know I did a huge favor to myself because I kind of keep my curiosity level.
Nice.
Yes, but that also helped me to talk to people, to welcome people, you know, because if you are in this profession, it's a whole package. It's not only you walk into the classroom and you follow the curriculum, you follow your plan, you do the assessments, you do the report cards, you have to answer to your superiors. No, that requires so much of the life skills, the human, I say people skills, you know. So I took everything. You know, I'll give you the example. When I see the child that is wearing the pantyhose that are like down to her knees and she can't walk, and she keeps on pulling them up, I'll pick up the phone, I'll call the parents, come on, bring her something else. Or I will go to my class, to any of my colleagues and ask, do you have another pair of pants or something? You see, this is what that work with children and with the parents was to me. You know, you give and you take. It's a two-way street, give and take. But also, you know, you have to look at all of the needs that everybody has. The parents, what needs they have, the children, what needs do they have, how to meet the best. And constantly you reassess what worked well, what needs the improvement, and what to do, basically.
Right.
So it's academics, and you know, I always say that academics are super important, but for me, always the bigger, more important were other things that surround, you know, the education, the school, the relation between the parents and everything. Well, another examples is, you know what, when people simply come to you and say, okay, I'm losing it. I can't handle this. It's too much. Okay, they just want to sit and talk. And please, yeah, why not? If that was going to make you feel better, I'm all yours, Okay, I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a counselor, but if me listening to you will make you feel better, I'm going to do it. Why not? So I think this sitting and listening to people and being sensitive to others, this is what, and we share this very much because you are very good at this too, and you've been doing this a lot. So I think this is what brought us both into this different zone of teaching and educating. Yeah. And I don't think you can separate that.
No, you can't. And, the parents would come in and ask us all kinds of questions, me as, the coordinator or principal, and you as the teacher, concerned for their children, or it would be as a result of you're calling and, saying, such and such is going on with your child in the classroom. Can we have a meeting and can we sort of talk about this? I think some parents were probably surprised. And of course, at the early childhood level, parents are just trying to search their own parenting skills. And there are so many dynamics that go on. Even like you said, you're not necessarily a psychologist or whatever, but you have your own parenting experience, plus what you learned worked, right? Over the years, over those 15 years, you learned what was working and what wasn't working. And so you're able to give advice to parents based on that. And I see how that has really influenced what you're able to do, because you bring up a lot of those stories when you do your course. So yeah, go ahead.
No, it's not only that. You know what? This is when, again, I feel so fortunate and privileged that I do what I like. Not everybody can say that.
Yes, it's
about their professional life. So because you enjoy so much and you like so much, it really draws you. It really pulls you in so much. And I like to help people. I like to feel useful. So I think that also brings into this what you just described, and especially working with the early childhood. That is such a satisfying age group, such an interesting. I say satisfying to you as a professional. When you work with them, you get so much from them. You get so much satisfaction. You get so much of interesting stories. You get so much observations. That is really like, I don't know even how to say it, like the peak of everything,
Yeah.
Just to be there with them, honestly.
Yeah, I can see it makes you smile just thinking about it.
Yeah. You know what I was just picturing? I was just picturing that there was a time that we were asked to work in the private setting with a group of the toddlers. You remember that?
Yes.
And there was a girl that she just was starting to walk, and and she fell down, and she was kind of like pushing herself back with her hands to stand up and to keep her balance. And normal instinct is to grab her, pull her up, and let her stand. And I had to fight this urge in me, because what am I teaching others? I'm telling others, back off, let the kids do things on their own. And it was so much of like this holding my urge of helping, and then satisfaction and the happiness when I saw this girl finally pulling herself up, standing, and she was like doing
so proud of herself. Yeah,
so proud of herself. And see, these moments are such a teachable moments, because also you have to practice what you preach.
Absolutely.
You ask parents to give their children the space, a room, then you need to do the same. And this is where all of my experience comes from. My immediate work with the kids, my hands-on work with the kids. So I know it's okay. Everybody's going to be okay.
Right. Yes. Yeah. So that leads me to the next question. Tell us more about Parentool. You're very active on Instagram, and of course, at the end, we'll give everybody the your handle so that they can contact you. and follow you. But tell us more about Parentool. So you spend all that time teaching kindergarten and involving the parents to a certain extent, but now you're really consulting and training parents. So tell us what you're doing.
So that was born, actually, remember in that Starbucks, we were sitting together and we were thinking, what are we going to do? Where is, how you're going to utilize my experience and my knowledge in the Spexel before, in the specialized solutions.
Right.
And you had this idea about the course that you had taken when your kids were little. So it will be, I'm sorry, but it's like almost 30 years ago.
It is. Yes, it's okay. I've accepted my age.
No. It's, you know what? It's not about age, because people sometimes get very skeptical and they say, oh, this is something very old. And then this is what we don't understand about that program, but it's a timeless and very universal program. Yes. It never gets old. It will never get old. Yes. It will never get old. So going back to that. So there is this program that is right in front of you. And all what you have to do is just, you know, facilitate that program. I wouldn't say modify, but it needs a little bit of a modification and not a little bit, a lot of your own input to make people comfortable, to make people, to encourage the people to take this course, to invite the people and make it very personalized, so they feel like, okay, I can do it. She went through this, I can go through this too, you know?
Right.
You have to make it available to people and invite them so they don't feel intimidated. They don't feel it's too much. It's something above their abilities. So that we started off in Spexel with bringing this program to Kuwait. It's a systematic training for effective parenting, which is very successful in the United States. Yes, there are millions of people that went through this. I'm surprised nobody else thought about it and took initiative. And you know what? It was like something that came, like flew on my lap, like landed on my lap. You know, it was given to me on the silver tray, literally, you know? And that is something that finally I could say it hit the right spot in me, because it combines everything. You know, my interest and need to be with people. It's all about the children, and it's helping others. It's helping me to grow. So you know what? There is like a multi-factors into it together. You know, I cannot separate. I cannot separate and say just, oh, that's my job. No, it's more than a job. Right. It's more than a job.
Yeah, it's an extension of who you are.
Thank you. It is, and I cannot separate it. And when unfortunately you had to say goodbye to Spexel, then you know, I was kind of like, okay, I'm going to go on retirement then. What else to do? And then another person that is very important to both of us, which is Sarah. She's my daughter, but she is, I would say, adopted daughter of Eileen too.
Yes.
And she started working with Eileen before me, and she reminds us about this constantly. Say, I was first.
Yes.
Always. She said, why you wanna leave it? Why you wanna stop this program? You work so hard to bring the awareness, to introduce this to the people here in Kuwait. You need to continue. So the Parentool is her baby, actually. She came up with an idea and she presented to me, and I said, yeah, you're right. Why I never thought about it? Because I never thought about it. It was her.
Yeah, Sarah definitely has an entrepreneurial mindset for sure. Yes.
And she knew what I needed, actually. I think I didn't know that I needed. Honestly, I didn't know that. So we started the Parentool, and it's going like 3 years now. It's been already 3 years. And I would say it's going strong, and it's really filling my days, filling my life pretty strong. Yeah.
Yeah, you have a cohort just about every couple of months, right? Because the program runs for 7 weeks.
Yeah, the whole program. So, but program is designed for 7 weeks, for 7 sessions. Very intense sessions. A lot of discussions. It's not a lecture type. I don't like lectures, and definitely I'm not a lecture type. It requires a lot of involvement from the parents. There is a lot of knowledge, a lot of things that people learn through this process, but that learning is very much hands-on. It's like a skill application.
Yes.
And yes, and it's all about social emotional development. I know it sounds very technical. So what I like to say to the parents, basically, we're gonna dig deep to see why children behave the way they behave and what you're not supposed to be doing. If you want me to sum it up, this is what I have, these 2 things I have to say. What you're not supposed to be doing and why children behave the way they behave. And if people understand that, oh my goodness, they will make much better choices. They will avoid a lot of dramatic situations. Yeah. So we meet once a week, and each week we go back and see, get a feedback of what was happening at home during that week. And we move on to the new chapter and to the new skills and to the new knowledge. And you say cohort, I call them family because including the parents that took that program in the days of the Spexal, it's a huge family, it's a huge group, because I would say 75% with these people we stay in touch until today.
That's so nice.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And sometimes they reach out and ask you for additional advice, sometimes about their children as students in the schools, sometimes just at home, sometimes about their siblings who have come along after them, and just, to update. And it's such a wonderful community. Really,
it is a community. It is a wonderful community. You know what? And I have just this reflection now as we speak, that having this feedback, constant feedback, and coming back and keeping in touch actually fulfilled what you were hoping to have for us, being a consultant, educational consultant, and providing the professional development for the teachers, that we are always here. You can always come back. You see, so your idea kind of lives with the Parentool, with that program.
Yes.
What you were trying,
true.
yes, because this is what it is. This is not just a course, just a workshop that you're going to take. You can come back always and ask for the consultation. You can ask the questions, because this is how it is. But just because you take any workshop, it doesn't mean that you're going to be fluent in what you're doing.
Right.
You need that instructor, you need that person, facilitator, to be able to kind of like visit you again, and you need to ask the questions. What am I doing? What if what I'm doing is right? And it's not about right or wrong, but we discuss the responses. We ask, could you have done this differently? And if they get stuck, well, I'm not going to be a very modest person now. I have a lot of ideas, and for me it's easier. No, look, listen, for me it's easier. I'm not emotionally involved in this situation.
Right.
I am out of the box. For me, it's easier to come up with ideas and the solutions for the parents.
Right.
So
yeah, because you're not emotionally involved. You can be objective.
Yes, I see it like, and also that gives me a good chance to advocate for the kids.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So it's amazing that all your experiences kind of came back to help you with the course, and also just to have that relationship with the parents. It was a natural flow. It just kind of, like you said, it was just coincidences that ended up showing you the way, right? Yeah. And you could have given it up. You could have retired and done hobbies or something like that. But it's something that really wakes you up in the morning and gets you going, because you're still doing it. So Yeah. My last question before we finish up is, even though I was your boss for a while in the school and, you know, at the consultancy, we have this knack, you and I, for collaboration. And as you mentioned at the beginning, we always say we're 50-50, short of our halves make up the whole. If you think about it, Eva, how can others benefit from our experience of teamwork and collaboration? Because it's really a special kind of thing, but it isn't special in the way that nobody else could have it.
Very interesting question. You know what? I think that we should be an excellent example of collaboration, not competition. This is number one. Number two, see, you bring out the best of me. You have this way that you dig in and you will like see my moments that I'm hesitant or you know, I'm not sure. And then, you know, you have this way. Also, I think if they look at us, they would benefit from the fact that we listen to each other and we bounce from each other's ideas. So it's not like, oh, it was my idea and I have a copyright here. No. Okay.
Right.
And what else? I would say, wow. There is a lot. You know what? People need to come and sit with us, I think, to understand this better.
We should be that petri dish or whatever, that human experiment, and let them watch us. But I think you hit upon two of the really important things. That you know, it's the listening and bringing out the best in each other, because you do the same for me, and also the supportive way we are able to see that the self-doubt is happening, and we know that it's something that the other can accomplish, and being able to point that out and giving the other person the confidence to go ahead and try it. And so I think those if you know, we only had to offer those two things, I think they're really important, and they all relate to the whole idea of belonging if we really look closely at it, because if you find that person or those people in your lives, you will feel that sense of belonging, because they're your co-regulators. Psychologists call it co-regulation. They're the ones who are able to kind of be able to give you that balance that you need in your life, that feeling of safety, that feeling that you can do it, even though you're doubtful that you can't. Because, you know, the other person isn't going to put you in a situation that is either going to embarrass you or that you're going to fail at. They're going to push you toward things that you'll be successful at.
This is a very big thing for me, because this is, I find, like, we know we give each other the space. Okay, we don't try to fix each other. We don't try to, you know, like put the template on each other's, and you should do this and you should be doing that. We're okay with that. And also, you see, there is something, like, I have to speak for myself now at this moment. English is not my first language. I use 3 languages on a daily basis. Okay, and I'm super sensitive about the way people correct me. Okay, so I will stick to the people that, you see, this is also the sense of belonging. I will stick to the people that take me as I am, and I don't have to have a perfect accent, or I don't have to have a perfect vocabulary or the perfect spelling, because I realize I do the mistakes, let's say in Arabic and in English. Okay, but you see, the sense of belonging is here when you have that other person or the group of the people that don't pick on you, and the way they help you out, learn or correct the mistakes, that you feel good about it. Yes. You don't feel intimidated, or you don't feel, like that you're less than others.
That's so important, Eva. Oh my gosh. Yes. Yes.
No. Oh, there is so many, you know what, on many other levels. See, this is when the sense of belonging is, you are holding a PhD title. Right. I don't have it. And is it a problem between us? Is it an obstacle?
No, I never think about it. You are what? Yeah, because because you said you're curious, so you're always learning. Yes. You don't have to have that those letters next to your name in order to be, you know.
That is a sense of
Yes.
belonging. You know what? The sense of belonging, exactly when it fits, when I don't have to pretend that I'm somebody else. I am allowed to be me, and you take me with all of that package.
Right.
Okay. I don't know which parts you like less or which parts you like better, but it doesn't matter, you know.
Mhm.
It doesn't matter.
None of
So
us
this
are
is-
perfect. I'm sure there are
No.
parts of me that you like better and some that you're
Yeah,
about
but,
too.
but you is you, me is me, and
Yes.
this is how we coexist
Yes.
together. So if you look back also, you know, by our age, our circle of friends or us, you know what, I don't want to even call them friends, but our people, I call them my people, like my tribe, okay,
Yeah.
get gotten smaller because that natural life elimination happens, you know.
Yes.
And we tried to fit here, we tried to fit there, and when we realized that fitting in doesn't mean belonging.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes. Thank you, Brene Brown, and thank you, Eva Al Qallaf. Yeah. Well, I hate to wrap it up here because it's been so wonderful. I always love talking to you, Eva. I'm so glad I'm finally getting to share you with the world.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you wanted to tell our listeners that I hadn't asked you about or you didn't have a chance to talk about before we finish up?
Like a wisdom?
Yes, a wisdom, advice, or final message to people?
Or maybe final message, but not advice. I don't feel but wisdoms. You know, life is beautiful. Life is short. Let's look more for the positive things, not the negative things, because it's wasting of time. So if there is one positive thing happening in during your day, let's hang on to this one instead of the 10 negative things. And it might sound easy, and I know it's quite difficult, but it's no point, really no point, and let's not waste time. Really.
Yeah, we need to try it, and some days are not okay, and so some days we do tend to, you know, focus on the negative, but that's okay. But we should try to like you said, even if it's just one thing, to try to focus on that rather on wasting our time on the things that, unless it's things we have to solve, which is understandable. Yes. So where can people find you? Where is the best place to find you, Eva?
The best place to find me is Instagram. Yep.
And you're at?
And it's a Parentool Kuwait.
Parentool Kuwait. Parentool.
KW. Yes.
KW. Okay. Yes.
Yes.
On Instagram. Yes. And definitely follow her because she's always doing all kinds of really cool things and giving out good advice.
You can find number of IGTVs, or we are not called IGTVs now, but in my videos library, I call it library, I have number of discussions that we've done together. And honestly, my favorite one is the one that we've done on empathy.
Yes.
You
yes,
remember?
That was a really good one. Yes.
That was a really good one. Yes.
Yes. So our listeners, if they have a chance to go back and take a look. Yes. Yeah. And there are just so many good things that you do. And also the testimonials from your parents who have taken the course and the different kinds of comments that they have, because you always ask them at the end what they gained and what they learned from it. So Eva, this has been absolutely so special. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I appreciate you so much. And for our listeners, we're hoping that you enjoyed the conversation and the focus on parents and early childhood education.
Thank you so much. I hope that you enjoyed. And thank you, Eileen, for giving this opportunity. And it took us a year.
It did, but it was well worth it, as our listeners will see when they start listening.
Yes.
All right, Eva, thanks a lot.
Thank you too. Take care, everyone. And thank you so much. I'll see you on Friday.